Happy 2023, everyone. We are back with Monday Madness in the new year. We hope you had a wonderful holiday season. I think we certainly did, because we're here today for some anticipation of 2023 movies, things to get excited about, some trailer discussion, a little bit of news stuff as well, but all rounded in a reflective discussion, I suppose, on our own personal favourites of the last year of 2022, movies-wise, that is, of course, as that's what we like to tend to focus on Monday Madness. We're back. We're excited. I'm so excited to be back doing the show. Jeannine, welcome to the madness. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Monday Madness with Morgan and the Machine. Hello, the Machine.
Hello, the Morgan. Excited to be back.
Yes. For some craziness, for some fun,
Yes.
anything discussion, which is
Yes.
always the best part of Monday Madness, I think. But no, it's obviously a very exciting episode today because we get to talk about all the movies we did love from 2022, even though obviously I definitely watched way more movies from the 40s and the 50s than I did from 2022 in
Yeah.
2022.
But I
Because
mean, I
it's
think,
me.
yes, but I think, in terms of doing the show, and kind of really wanting to be on top of what's happening now, I think that's kind of forced you to watch maybe more things newer and go to the theater more than you probably have in a while. So I'm excited
Oh,
about
certainly
that.
than I would have done, yes, definitely. I mean, I've spent the kind of past few days as well watching a couple of things that I did, want to watch before having a discussion on kind of favorites of 2022 that we are going to get into in our Let's Talk today. Things that I'd seen on a lot of people's best of the year lists and things like that I just felt like, okay, it's on enough of these lists that I might just have to go and give it a go and see what this particular movie's all about. There is a few, and we'll get into those as well, I'm sure. There is a few that I have had the opportunity to see and haven't yet, but there's also plenty because being the way Britain is with kind of Oscar
Releases.
season movies,
Yeah.
we obviously don't get them until kind of late January and February. Whereas, you guys, the US, have had them probably in October. So, yay. They're not
Yeah.
technically 2022 movies for us, even though they are. So I've always considered the release date, the original release date of a movie to be its actual release date. I mean, I've seen some British outlets put like 2021 movies on their best of 2022 movies simply because it wasn't released here
Release
until
for
like
them
February the
until
2nd or
yes.
something like that.
So there have been a couple things that we've wanted to review together, but we couldn't because you haven't gotten it
Yeah.
yet. So I just kind of will talk about it on my own. So even like this week I would have loved to kind of do a review with you on Megan, but you're not getting Megan until next
Until
week.
next week. Yeah, which is so annoying that it's just a week out. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
get why we couldn't have had that today. It would have been obviously what we would have talked about for a little
Yeah.
bit on this show today.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing that very much, actually. I think it looks
Yeah.
absolutely insane and fun and great.
It definitely
But
was
we're
really fun.
definitely we'll definitely be talking about Megan and doing our full little review on that next week. But yes, I suppose we should just get into the episode, Jeannine. Should I ask the
Yes.
question?
Yes, I've missed it.
So, Jeannine,
So we have quite a bit up, a little bit of news and some brand new trailers because, of course, I feel like we're getting a lot of fun movies this year. So just to kind of kick it off, we did get a little bit of sad news, but hopeful potentially.
oh yeah,
Um, Jeremy Renner, best known as Hawkeye in the MCU, did get into a really bad accident. I guess he was plowing snow, like to help his neighbors actually get out, and I guess the safety something on the snow plow malfunctioned, and it ended up running him over and crushing his leg. And he had to be rushed to the hospital. Luckily, I guess one of his neighbors was a doctor, so they were able to kind of set up a tourniquet for him, so he was able to get help
Yeah.
very quickly. Um, he had, I think I saw he had surgery on his chest, on his leg. So there was kind of a, he was stable but in critical condition. So it was very much, you know, uh, I think a lot of fans were waiting with bated breath to kind of hear,
Yes.
the kind of diagnosis, and so he has since come out with a selfie saying that he's messed up, but he appreciates all the love, and he actually did put a video out too of his sister kind of massaging his head.
Yeah.
And him being able to like finally like have a shower and recovering. So
Yeah, and he's
yeah.
been, I've noticed he's been putting a few more tweets and things like that out. So obviously that kind of first day was really quite, oh my God, this is horrible. What's
Yes.
happening? It sounded really, really bad. And obviously
Yeah.
it was a really
Yes.
bad situation,
Mhm.
very dangerous situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank God he was able to actually get doctors to him quickly, I
Really
mean,
quickly. Yeah.
and appropriately, and obviously had successful surgery and is certainly slowly but certainly on the mend, which is obviously very, very positive, not just for his work, but for him as a human being who has a
Yes.
family and friends and all this kind of business,
Yeah, great
who
outpouring
would
of
not
love
have
from,
wanted.
his fellow cast members and things like that.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
but
So,
obviously our well wishes go out to Jeremy Renner.
yes, yes. So I'm really glad that everything seems to be okay at the moment, and he's recovering. So yeah, but that was really scary because, and then you also
It
had some
was,
outlets posting these black and white pictures, and then people in the
which
comments are
is
like,
never a good idea,
F
is
you.
it?
Why are you putting these kind of photos? You're freaking us out. Like, please do not use a black and white photo. So
Unless, of
yeah,
course, the individual was only ever photographed in black
in
and
black and
white.
white, then yeah. But yes,
Do
very
not
much
use one.
not a good move. Not a good move.
No,
But yes, glad he is on the mend for sure. So um,
definitely.
yes. Then we're getting some more information to DC. I think that's kind of like one of the common topics here on Monday
Always,
Madness.
and it will continue to be, because am
Yes,
I
it's
led to
always
believe that,
evolving. It's always changing.
well, am I led to believe that Gunn and Safran are soon to be announcing a little bit of a slate or a little bit of a what's in development?
Yes, yes. So they have been talking about this plan, and so they will be kind of revealing things as they know of what's going to be happening with the DC universe. And
No doubt we will be talking about that on this show.
yes, yes. And kind of the biggest news that came out recently was Ezra Miller. Is he going to be able to continue on? They've cut a lot of the old guard in terms of, the original DC universe that we were getting recently in these past few years, and all that's kind of done. So with Ezra's movie still to come out, are they going to keep them, on board, especially with all the drama
Yeah.
that they've caused and everything? So that was kind of the big story. And they're seemingly maybe thinking about it, considering keeping them in terms of, I guess, maybe how that movie does, what things are set up in that movie. The fact that Ezra Miller has been kind of working in some therapy aspects to kind of I guess work on themselves and figure things out and get help. So
Which was needed, which was
definitely,
needed.
yeah,
Now, the way I look at this really is, I don't wanna see Ezra Miller. I don't wanna see this Flash movie. I don't want to see this Flash movie. I don't like what Ezra Miller. I know Ezra Miller has been yes, okay, going to these therapy, working on themselves, like you say. But I just think it leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth.
Yes, and it sets this
And
just kind of frustrating standard of actors who were doing great and really loved these characters and really didn't get the opportunity to do more with them like they wanted, all being cut, but then somehow Ezra gets this
yeah,
chance
somehow
to
the one
potentially
that,
continue. The one that was the most problematic, like,
like,
potentially gets to
100% the most.
yeah.
It's very strange. From what I'm led to believe, the stories that have come out surrounding this have referred to it as Warner Brothers executives maybe into the idea of keeping Ezra Miller on. They have not named Gunn and Safran.
Yeah.
So this makes me believe that it isn't actually Gunn and Safran.
Yeah.
It's Zorboff and the rest of them that are like, oh well, you know, if the Flash does well, why not keep Ezra? It's
Yes,
like
yes. And if you
maybe
don't know,
because
Zorboff is our
we don't
affectionate
want
name
to do
for
that.
the Mr. Zaslav
Yes,
guy. We just call him Zorboff because he's just
because he's a
ridiculous person.
supervillain.
Yes.
He's a
Um,
ridiculous supervillain person, and
yes.
this is just what he epitomizes. So he should be called Zorboff
Yes.
or
So
Zardoz, but that's a movie with
something,
Sean
yeah.
Connery.
So, I'm here for the Keaton of it all, basically, because that is my favorite Batman, and
Sure,
the
yes.
I'm really curious to see how he gets worked into the story, and so that's kind of what's holding me to any kind of um anticipation for this Flash movie. But yeah, it would
But
be
it also
very
has
much a
taken
bummer for him to
7
continue on
years to
for them.
make.
Yeah, yeah.
This movie has been pushed back and pushed back for years now, which is never a good sign.
Yes, which also
Unless it
kind
is
of
a good sign. Unless it is a good sign, because I suppose when you look at it, but it was pushed back for multiple reasons. It wasn't only pushed back. No, I'm thinking wrong. I'm thinking of placing it alongside things like Top Gun Maverick and Avatar Way of Water and being like, oh no, we'll give it another year to just finesse things. Oh no, we'll give it
yes,
another year to just
to,
finesse.
and also we want the theater experience, so we want to make sure it can come out at a
Correct.
time when people are going back to the theater.
And that was
Those
not
were
the
the reasons.
situation with the Flash. That was
No.
not the situation with the Flash movie. This was just like, oh, it's a mess. Let's chop and change. Oh
Yes.
dear, no, it's
Oh,
been ruined. Let's chop and change.
let's put Batman in it. Let's put Superman in it. Oh wait, no, let's not. Like, that's kind
It's
of what
never
was
made any
all this.
sense.
Exactly. So that would be frustrating also as well if this movie gets released, in terms of how sloppy it's been, how delayed it's been, um, kind of how messy this story could get, because we know a time travel story can get very convoluted and messy, and you know and you're gonna take a chance with this kind of amalgamation of craziness, but then you shelve that girl. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't sit right
you
with
shelve
me.
Batgirl that could have been a potential hit for you, a new character, a great cast, like, already done film, um,
That
people were
wasn't
really
that
excited about.
expensive.
Yes, and you're gonna take an insurance cut on that and shelve it forever, but you're gonna take this chance in releasing this mishmash of craziness with a very problematic lead. So that doesn't make sense to me either. I I don't know. Keaton is the only thing that's keeping me somewhat on board here. And
I,
the fact that you
I,
said yes, like a Gunn and Saffron are kind of not really the big names behind potentially keeping Ezra. So, I'm curious to see, what the final decision will be, what this movie even is going to look like. But there's very much a bit of a double standard in terms of just like frustration of things that, could have been great with people who are great, not getting that opportunity, whereas this kind of mess of a thing is.
there is, and that's unfortunate. I guess we have to wait until after the movie probably comes out to
Yeah.
get anything clear.
Yeah.
Which is reasonable, really. I mean, they're not going to say, no, this is done. while they've still got a movie to come out, because then literally nobody will bother going seeing the movie.
Yeah.
So while we are still in the situation of waiting for anything set in stone to be set in stone, you're in this situation of, it might not. I wouldn't like this to happen, but I would like this to happen.
Yeah.
And you're not really, you can't say anything reasonable. You can't say anything kind of that makes any sense, other than I don't want to see Ezra Miller. I don't want to see Ezra Miller.
And that's fair.
Ezra Miller chokes people.
Yeah, that's fair.
On the street randomly, and that doesn't make
sense.
Throws
chairs at people, breaks into homes,
beats people up.
Allegedly.
Goes on
so,
yeah. Well, yes, allegedly, I suppose. But okay, was arrested for assault.
Yes.
Which was true. You know, just in case we get sued.
Yeah.
On Monday Madness, which I doubt it. But yes, okay. Let's talk about some trailers then. Let's talk about some excitement.
Yes. So we got some fun trailers here.
We've got a few we want to talk about today. I think we've got 4 we want to bring up actually.
Yes. So
what do we want to talk about first?
We do have You People.
Yes.
It's very much, I guess, you know, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, or Guess Who, the more comedic remake switcheroo type situation, kind of vibe film where an interracial couple gets together, and then the parents have to meet, and there are a bit of conflicts there. Particularly, I think what differentiates it from, you know, a Guess Who's Coming to Dinner type thing is also kind of there's a bigger focus on the on both sides of kind of cultural differences in terms of Jonah Hill. He's the guy in this scenario. He comes from a Jewish family, so it's going to be a very much a Jewish kind of traditional kind of tendencies compared to kind of
Are we going to be playing with delightfully horrific stereotypes here?
Yes.
Are there for humorous reasons, and
Yes.
not obviously to just be insulting. They're there for light-hearted reasons, but you can just imagine various rabbi figures, can't you, coming to Jonah Hill, being incredibly stereotypical and talking about, you know, being essentially a Mel Brooks caricature.
Yes, I
like
mean
Mel Brooks level of let's make fun. Oh, I'm Jewish. Let's make fun of that fact.
Yeah, so it looks like there's going to be some very much not great, you know, dinner talk conversations in terms of comparing slavery to the Holocaust and things of that sort. And
I think there's isn't it also the black family who the mother and father is Eddie Murphy and Nia Long, are they not also Muslim?
Yes.
So like Eddie Murphy's like a pretty devout looking Muslim in this movie as well.
Yes.
So there's just one more angle of
to add into the
potential
mix.
conflict.
But I mean, you know, in terms of legacy kind of comedians who have, you know, had very much success in terms of comedy, Eddie Murphy and Julia Louis-Dreyfuss. These are two people that, you know, I'm excited to kind of see go head to head and face off in terms of their comedy styling. So that's going to be kind of a really fun aspect of this movie, I think.
It will be. And look, Eddie Murphy doesn't do much these days. We know Eddie Murphy doesn't do much these days. So I think when Eddie Murphy does do something, and this movie as well, is like coming out in like 3 weeks on Netflix, which is kind of fun. I want to see this. This looks very funny to me.
So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see that.
It does look like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner exaggerated.
Well, yes, I mean we did get.
I like it. Not as. It's not going to be. I mean, look who's in the movie. It's not going to be treated as heavily dramatically as Guess
Well,
who's coming to dinner? This
we
is the
did
comedic
get we did
from.
get a remake that was kind of in that vein, called Guess Who, but it was like reversed. It was the white guy coming
Oh
home to
yes,
meet
is
the
that the
girl's black family,
Ashton
Ashton
Kutcher?
Kutcher, which was
Yes.
I bring this up quite a bit, the kind of whole colorism situation of things, as Zoe Saldana playing the daughter of two fully black parents, which just is why it could have gotten anybody that's actually
We
somebody
like
who could
Zoe
be the daughter
Saldana, but it's a
of
fair
two.
point.
Yes, which it was Zoe Saldana. So why? So that was something that made me not really want to watch that movie. But Bernie Mac as the dad there, and then just kind of bringing this white man into this black kind of situation, which I think was supposed to be kind of this opposite switch to the um, you know,
Yeah.
original drama. So we did get kind of a comedic kind of take on that type of story, but I definitely think this is going to be more focused equally on both sides of our couple.
Well,
And
absolutely.
yes,
I think it's obvious. I mean, it's pretty obvious what the movie's kind of going to be. It's kind of going to be, oh yes, we all have struggles and we all have hopes and we all have differences, but we're all human and we all get along. Let's be a family. That's
yes,
what the movie's going to be. It's obviously what the movie's going to be, but the comedy will come from the conflict.
yes. And I think the difference in kind of a Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is it was more of the parents being concerned of the societal look at this couple. We're at a phase now where
Yeah, this is
that
not
that
that.
aspect is not really a thing. An interracial
No,
couple is very common. So it's
this
gonna
is
be
not
the
what this movie's
parents.
about.
It's going to be the parents kind of getting over their own prejudices against each other, and kind
Yeah,
of just supporting their children. So it's going to be more
which is
focused, I
funnier.
think, on the division of the parents, not the societal kind of look at this couple. It's going to be the parents kind of look at this couple and a look at kind of each other and the differences they have. So I think making that kind of more the focus is definitely going to kind of differentiate it in a more modern and fun way. So I'm excited for this one.
I'm excited for this as well. And look, I do find it hilarious. I mean, there's a scene in this trailer that is very much them all sat at a dinner table, and they're all in full religious garb. I think the Jewish parents are in full gear, and
Yeah.
the Eddie Murphy's in full gear. I don't know the proper names for things. I do apologize for my religious ignorance on that front. But it just seems very exaggerated, and I like the fact it's very exaggerated. I
Yeah.
like the fact that that's where the comedy's going to come from. I think
Yes.
it's going to be incredibly palatable and obviously have that wonderful message that movies like this do have of just, God damn it, it does not matter who you are, just you're a person. Does
Yes.
the person like the other person, and does that person like them as well? Then it's fine.
Yes, that's
Stop
all that
fighting.
matters. Yeah.
What's the problem? There's no problem. And what else was I was gonna say something else. I'm sorry. I'm getting lost in my own. I don't know.
Reverie.
I'm getting lost in my. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Why does this ever actually happen? Like when people come up, is this an American thing? Because I don't think this would happen in Britain,
Because
where
everyone would just be very much like undramatically polite.
precisely. Now, you would not sit at a dinner table and start bringing up slavery and the Holocaust. You just wouldn't, no matter who you were sat with. You just wouldn't do it. Why
Yeah.
would you ever do it?
Yes. So I'm curious to see how this conversation comes up in the context of the film.
What Britain does is perhaps worse, is not like people when they're not there.
Yes, yes.
Like everybody when they're in front of you. It's like, oh yeah, it's fine. As soon as you go, oh, I hate that guy. He's the worst. Oh yeah, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing,
Okay,
buddy?
come on, yeah, come in for a drink.
Yes. And
God,
I think
why does he have to look at me now? I have to
yes.
invite him in for a drink.
Yes,
This
and
is the
be very
mentality.
awkwardly polite. But yeah, like even there's a situation I think depicted in the trailer of Eddie Murphy bringing up Farrakhan. and Julie
Yes.
Louis-Dreyfuss is kind of like, well, I know what he said about Jewish people, and so that's like going to be a whole other.
I just don't think you would. I mean, I suppose it's pride, really, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
pride for your own people, and that's, I
Yes.
suppose, a good thing. But it's not something I
Right.
have, so I don't really understand that.
Yeah.
I'm proud of my own family, sure, but not of like, who are my people?
Yeah. Right.
My people, white British people. What's to be proud of? Nothing.
Yeah.
A history of evil empire building. That's what am I supposed to be proud of that? No.
Yeah,
You know
so
what I mean?
I don't know that there would be too much of a heritage type debate
There's not,
coming
is
from
there? Not
British
with me.
people.
It's just like,
It's why you don't have
yeah,
movies like this. It's
I
usually
think
just
it
like
is.
somebody who is either like American and very much a free spirit coming into a very snobbish British.
That's what it's
That
more
would be
like.
that would
That's
be.
way what it's more like. It's just, oh God, you say what you mean. Who are you?
Oh my gosh, you don't do that here.
Just tone it down, sir. That's
Yes,
the
that would be the biggest
that would be the
conflict.
it would. I
But
like that.
yes, I'm excited for that one.
But
It
yeah,
looks
I'm looking
like a lot
forward
of
to
fun.
this.
Um,
Yeah.
but yes, we do have some horror as well,
Oh, we certainly
and
do.
a bit of horror comedy. So I'm excited for that. We have Renfield, a movie with Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage as Dracula, which looks really fun. Renfield, basically like the uh pained assistant to Dracula, having to do his
Yeah.
bidding and just lamenting every aspect of his life and wants to get out of this situation. We see him kind of in a AA type group, kind of talking about how he's just under this terrible boss and he doesn't know what to do with his life. Um, and then yeah, it turns out his boss is actually Dracula. Um,
Jeannine, Renfield looks like a silly movie,
it
and I'm
does,
all here for it. It
right?
looks absolutely insane.
Yes.
Will Nicholas Hoult be the best Renfield since Dwight Fry in 1931? Possibly.
Yes, it
Possibly.
looks
We all
very
like
ridiculous and
Dwight Fry,
fun.
1931.
Aquafina's in there.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
she is. Of course she is. Yeah.
yes. So
I like Aquafina. She does the same thing in every movie she's in, but
yeah,
I like Aquafina.
she's good. She's good.
But no, it does look absolutely silly and darkly silly, which is perfect for me, really, isn't it?
Yes.
It's exactly the kind of nonsense I like.
And
Put
these are the
Dracula in there,
and
make
I
it
and
stupid.
I want to say Nicolas Cage, like one of his many obsessions in life is like Dracula and that kind of aspect, that kind of
That makes
character.
sense.
And so,
Vampires, yeah.
yes, so I think that is one of his obsessions in terms of characters and things he likes. So I definitely see him having a lot of fun with this
Yeah,
character and just playing it up
absolutely he will.
to the nth degree. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It looks like a lot of fun.
It really, really does. I think you get a little bit of Nicholas Hoult actually having like gifted powers from Dracula as well,
Yeah, so we're gonna get some action kind of stuff in here as well.
but obviously just very kind of it's going to be this situation of, and I think Nicholas Hoult's perfect to play this kind of stuff
Yeah.
where
Yes.
he's trying so hard. There's some strength in there, but because he looks like a walking stick insect, it's never outwardly seen.
Are you calling
Nicholas Hoult does
Nicholas
look like
Hoult?
a Nicholas Hoult is not a big dude.
He's a very tall dude.
Nicholas Hoult is like Chalamet 5 years before Chalamet.
No, I
Yes.
would say he's not like buff or anything or big or built, but he is not as
How he ever
as
played Beast, I
thin.
don't know.
He's not as thin as a Chalamet for sure. I think
No, he's not as thin
he's
as
a
a
little
Chalamet.
meatier than a Chalamet. So I would
A
not go
little bit,
calling this
yes.
man a stick insect. No, that
But
is inaccurate.
I'm just visualizing warm bodies where he obviously was supposed to be dead. and looked
Yes.
very thin. And he looks quite similar to his character in Warm Bodies in this movie, because he's
Fair.
pale white and quite gaunt
Yes.
and really kind of worn down and tired.
Yes.
But
Yes.
a lot of the comedy in this is going to come from just Nicholas Hoult obviously really wanting to get out of this situation, but being hypnotized to just be at Dracula's beck and
Yes.
call
But also
every
the
single
way,
time he says anything.
I like this kind of group kind of discussion where, he's talking about it, but he's not really being clear about what it is or that it's kind of a supernatural thing. He's talking about it like an
Yeah, could just be
everyday kind of
anybody.
job. So I like that kind of aspect of it too. So I hope we get a lot of that kind of thing until Dracula actually does show up. I think that's going to make for some fun comedy as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
this looks
Cage
like
is
a
gonna
lot of
ham it up to
fun.
perfection,
Yeah,
and it
yes.
should be a hammy movie.
Nick and Nick. Okay,
Nick and Nick.
yeah, Nicholas and
We're into
Nicholas.
Renfield. Are we
Yes.
also, Janine, into Evil Dead Rise?
Yeah, it looks really, I like absolutely love the poster for it. It looks just
It's
so
a
creepy,
great poster. It's a
right? Of
very
like
good
this
poster.
creepy mother hugging all her kids to her with this like
Yeah.
creepy smile and all possessed. Um, this will be executive produced, I believe, by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. So they do have, they're there to kind of oversee, not, the executive, I think, implies that it's more of just a monetary kind of moniker as opposed to kind
Well,
of
I
any kind
do
of
think.
involvement. But I think that how much they are involved in kind of the creation of this in the first place, I think they will have had some significant kind of input maybe and some overseeing if nothing else. So I
Yeah,
appreciate that they will be involved in kind of, because it's going to be one that's not really, the typical let's go to this cabin and find this book and all of these things. It's
no,
going to be away
certainly
from
not.
there. So I think, it'll be important to still kind of establish the rules that we've gotten in previous films, but having a different setting.
When you think about it, it's. I mean, I love the Evil Dead movies. I do. I love the Evil Dead movies. I love Ash versus Evil Dead, the TV show, and the 2013 remake is pretty damn good
Yeah,
itself.
it's great. Yeah.
Even though it's obviously way more horror focused than the original movies. It is
Yeah.
not really funny at all.
Yeah.
Which okay, but this movie is going to be similar to that. Like you're not going to get much silly humor from this movie. I don't
Yeah.
think. I like the Deadite designs. Obviously, they look
Yes.
the visualization of them
But that
still
this
looks
character
great.
is a
There
mother
is
and she has
just
kids, and how is that going to
yeah.
play into them like trying to protect her and obviously not wanting to hurt her and her trying to hurt them, and how is
There's
that
always been a
something that
situation within Evil Dead, though. It's people you care about turning into deadites, and then you having to kind of force to kill them.
yeah.
It's just there's a tonal situation that I'm going to have to go into this movie, remembering that this is supposed to be more like Evil Dead 2013 and not like the original Evil Deads, not like the Ash versus Evil Dead TV show. It's not stupid. It's not going to be stupid. It's not going to be
Yeah.
inherently over the top campy gloriousness. There's going to be a
Yes.
few Evil Dead shots in there. I saw that camera sway and move and zoom in quickly across the ground. Don't you think I didn't
Yeah.
see that in this trailer? It was there. But what it's obviously going to be, by the looks of it, it's a pretty damn solid horror movie.
Yes, it looks really
Um,
dark and creepy, and just the buildup of the change in the possession, and
yeah,
the kids
but
trying to figure out what to do, and they're
something
very
that
much creepy
sticks to
shots, you know.
yeah, something that sticks to the lore of Evil Dead, because at this point, Evil Dead's got a lot of lore to it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
all sorts of canon with Evil Dead. There's comic books. There's all sorts. It's going to stick to the lore of it, but be seemingly very, very fresh. So you're
Yeah.
still getting the Necronomicon in there, obviously. You're still getting, the Deadites' voices and the coming out of the thing, the playing of the record and all this.
Yeah.
You're getting it all still. But it's going to feel, I think it's going to feel fresh. It's going to feel necessarily fresh,
Yeah.
because I think if you want to do more Evil Dead, I think to have Ash in it at this point, especially after the TV show, I think the TV show was kind of the perfect way of bringing him back legacy-wise and then seeing it out.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, the way that TV show ended, if I remember rightly, didn't they just drive into hell?
I never watched the show.
So I'm sure like everything just died in a big hole, fiery hole to hell, and they just drove into hell. I'm sure that's how it ended. So it's just like, you can't really bring them back anyway.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
where the hell are they? But the fact that Raimi and Campbell are executive producing,
They're
and I would
involved in
hope,
some aspect, yeah.
yeah, I would hope, because of how much love they both obviously do have for Evil Dead, how much it meant to their careers, I have faith in this one, and I have faith that it because it looks very, very creepy as well.
Yes.
And just deadite movements and speech patterns,
Yeah,
and
like,
just
you know,
the way they act has always just gripped me, more so than if this was just a possession, just any old possession movie.
yeah, it's
There's
very
something
specific. Yeah.
there's something always very witty about Deadites. I think Deadites can have fun even in a serious movie like this. Even in the remake, the 2013 remake, I think they were still kind of playing tricks. They were kind of still messing around a little. They weren't laughing in your face and throwing things and causing deer heads on the wall to start laughing as well.
Yeah.
But they were playing a few tricks, and I think the mother in this movie, by the looks of it, is going to be doing everything with a little bit of a wry smile.
Yes.
So I'm into it. I'm into Evil Dead Rise, I think, Jeannine, and I think that comes out in April.
Yeah, so very soon.
Or is Renfield coming out in April? Or they're both? They're probably both
might be
coming out
in April. But yes, I mean, this just has me excited for another awesome year in horror. 2022 was we got so much good horror and so much variety. So it definitely looks like a good inclusion on another just great year of solid horror movies. This looks dark and creepy and definitely evoking everything that came before. So yeah, I'm excited for that one as well.
And our last one.
Yes, I believe this is just coming out on streaming. But this is a COVID-related horror film, penned by one of my favorites, Kevin Williamson.
Not boo. Not
Yes,
boo
not
to
boo
Kevin Williamson.
Yes, writer of the Scream films, of my favorite show of all time, Dawson's Creek. So, I love this man to pieces. Kevin Williamson wrote this, so it's very much a slasher. And it takes place during COVID time. These girls, they decide to rent a house in the woods, I guess, a cabin, to have their quarantine. Yes, this big kind of cabin to have their quarantine there, which I think is like a smart kind of thing. Expensive, but
you would yes, it is an expensive thing to do.
Yes, but if you're going to quarantine and have a quarantine buddy or quarantine buddies, I think it's a nice idea to to do it in a nice locale. So they decide to have their quarantine out in this nice cabin with a lake and all these things. And then, we see some type of hoodied figure creep into their house, and now we get our slasher kind of going. But there's all kinds of COVID humor will definitely, I think, be peppered in this. So that looks like very interesting. What is your question?
My question is, do you think the slasher killer, or killers, whoever they may be in this movie, is actually just going to be the human embodiment of COVID, and it's just going to be this ridiculous kind of COVID's coming to kill you? I mean, I know it's obviously serious, and look, I should I should have expected COVID movies to start coming out and a bit of COVID horror to start coming out, shouldn't I? But I don't want to remember quarantine and lockdown and all that business. I want
Yes, it
to
was very
forget that
depressing.
now. It was horrible.
It was very depressing.
Nobody liked it. But
No.
I think it's always been the way that it's always been the way in horror, certainly has been able to mirror the current culture's fears and what the world feared in 2020 and 2021 was COVID.
I mean, yes,
universally.
but I think the best things Kevin has written were more set in reality. So I don't know that he would have this supernatural kind of killer be the embodiment of the disease.
No, I
But I'm
don't
not
mean
saying
I
that
don't mean it being supernatural. I mean like it being some sort of big joke, and the killer is just like, "Aha, I'm COVID."
What?
No, okay.
No. I mean, it's possible,
Or
but
it not being that direct, and it actually just be like, the killer's just the killer because he's not wearing a mask, or something like that.
some
Where
twist
it's just
to
like,
some
I'm
twist to, you know.
unvaccinated and not wearing a mask.
But I mean some twist to it in terms of like mask wearing, like killers do wear masks, or like, you know,
Yes,
horror killers
yes.
usually wear masks. And
This
so
one
the fact
isn't
that this
because
one
it's
is not
COVID.
wearing a mask because it's COVID and this whole thing. So maybe that might play into it in some kind of clever way. We'll see. But I do like kind of the ending little tag of the trailer of these girls like completely bloody,
The stupidest
trying
thing.
to get help from this person, and the person's like, "Do you have a mask?" And we won't let them in the car because they don't have masks. But they're like all bloody and obviously, yes. So I like, if there's some humor like that in there, like I definitely would love that.
Yeah,
So
I can get behind it to a degree. I think once I sit with it a little bit more and just realize that COVID horror movies and COVID based movies may start to come out now,
yes.
that I think I'd be more into it. But that ending of the trailer with that old woman in the car who just go, "No, just wait a minute while I put my mask on just before I
Do you
save you
have a
from this
mask?
killer.
Yeah.
Do you have one? What? The guy's gonna kill me." It's like, "Do you have a mask? I'm not letting you in the car, and I can't do it. It's not safe. It's not safe out here.
Yeah.
Perspective, please."
Yes, yes. So
It's gonna be
if there if
that's
yeah,
stuff
that
like that's gonna be funny.
I agree. So really excited. I absolutely love Kevin Williamson. So this looks like a lot of fun. I'm excited for Sick. Looks
Sick,
like
yes, a
a fun one.
Peacock original
Yes.
movie, I think.
Yes.
So who knows where it might? Always Peacock
Yeah.
now a thing in Britain. I don't know. Do you know what I saw? I've seen trailers for streaming service wise recently. Lionsgate Plus.
What is that?
Exactly. Lionsgate have
How
a
does
streaming
Lionsgate
service
have a?
now.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm just at a loss on where the streaming
I know, that's
services
why it
are.
sucks, because yeah, your release schedule is like really, I don't think I noticed it as much until last year, where it was really like a lot of things you were not going to get for a very long time, or not at all, or indefinitely. Um so yeah, hopefully you'll be able to get this and check it out, because it does look like a lot of fun. But
Well, it
yeah,
was like when Britain only got Disney Plus about 8 months after the US did.
yeah. Only.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm at a loss with the streaming services. I am. I have the ones I watch, and then just the ones that I
Yeah,
can't add to.
I just don't understand, like, this weird kind of international barrier in terms of content. Like, it just seems so weird, you know?
Well, it's right.
Um,
It's obviously rights and domestic and international rights situations. So the likelihood is we'll probably get the movie Sick, but it might not be on. I don't even know if Peacock TV is in Britain because I've never looked at it. I've never looked for it.
yeah. But it's like, did you have like an NBC related thing that showed shows that would be
I
on
have no
NBC? Because
idea because I don't know. I don't know what it is
that's kind of the network of Peacock.
of the Peacock. Yes,
Yes.
but
So
I don't know because I don't know what else is on Peacock TV. So I couldn't tell you if those shows did make it over here on something else. I really don't know.
okay.
I really don't know. I mean, if I can find it, I'd like to watch that.
Okay.
I would
Yes.
like to watch that.
Well, hopefully we can.
But there we go for some
Yeah.
exciting things that we got trailers for to come out fairly soon, by the looks of
Yes.
it, in 2023. We'll also be playing a nice, fun anticipatory game at
Yeah.
the end of the show today on some of our most anticipated 2023 movies, some of which you might expect, some of which you might not. Who's
Okay.
to say?
I don't know. We could have
Uh,
some of the same ones as well, but you know.
We could do. We could do. We probably don't have all the same ones,
No.
I wouldn't imagine, because I would imagine yours are. Well, I'm not going to say. I'm going to leave it
Oh,
to the
are
game
you
to
gonna
guess,
pigeonhole
aren't I?
me? A floofy floof kind of movies, and
But
yours are
no,
more dark, elevated.
no, no. Well, absolutely not. Actually, absolutely not. Certainly for one of them, but one of yours, I can. Please do not confirm or deny this until the game, but one of yours is definitely Magic Mike. So I can just shut up right then
Ay, ay,
and
ay.
there.
How dare
Yes,
you just like put
success.
me put me in this
I'm
in
not
this.
putting you in a box. I'm not putting you in a hole. This is just a fact. I know this is true, is it not? I know you well enough to know how much Magic Mike just speaks to you.
Don't think you know me so well, Morgan.
I don't think you know me so well either,
Robinson.
so I'll, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let's talk. Let's get into
All right.
the let's talk. Let's talk about some of our favourites of
Okay.
2022. Jeannine, I think we have a top 5 list each.
We do. Yes.
So we're going to do this like we like to do countdowns on whenever we do some sort of countdown thing on something related to It's a Wonderful Podcast. We go from the bottom to the top alternately.
Yeah.
Or alternately, however you want to pronounce that. And if I have one that is higher on my list than what Jeannine says, then we wait until it's at the highest point, and vice versa. If you have one that's higher than I've got it, we wait until it's at the highest point.
Yes.
I do have some honourable mentions. Do you have any
Oh,
honourable mentions?
I do. I do.
I just kind of wrote down all the movies I really did like
Yeah.
love from this year, but didn't put in to the top 5. So you want to go through some of your honourable mentions?
Yeah, so kind of my top 10. I did have like, I really enjoyed Bullet Train, which was a fun surprise.
Okay.
Vengeance, this BJ Novak directed and written film, which was a dark kind of comedy that was a nice surprise. The Whale, I actually really
Okay.
enjoyed Avatar. My
Yeah.
the
Avatar's
the
on
other
mine. I really
5
did.
in my top 10 were The Black Phone, Bodies, Bodies,
Okay.
Bodies, The Woman King,
Just
Turning Red, and The Glass Onion.
yeah, I did put Turning Red in mine. Unfortunately, I haven't watched Glass Onion yet, even though it's on Netflix, and I really should have done.
Yes.
Sorry about that. What else did you? I still haven't seen Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. And that really
Morgan.
annoys me.
Ah, so fun.
Look, this is personal list. We haven't seen
Yeah.
every movie. I've
Yes,
watched far
that
too
is
many noir movies in 2022
yes.
to be watching all these new releases all the time. And The Woman King as well. Still haven't seen The Woman King. Why have I still not seen that? I was making a big whole deal about going to see that.
Yeah, you were.
Oh, that's annoyed me. It's probably on streaming now because nothing lasts 2 months anymore without coming onto streaming, does it?
Yes, there were a
God,
lot of
it's so
things.
annoying.
Yeah.
It makes you not want to bother going to the cinema, which is a very sad mentality.
Yeah, like a lot of things that I feel like just came out, like She Said, I saw was already on streaming. I'm like,
Yeah, the
okay,
menu
well,
is
check it out. Yeah, it's on HBO Max now.
the menu, which must have come out mid-November,
Yeah,
late November, even.
it's already
That's
on.
on Disney Plus now because it's a
It's
Fox
so
movie.
funny. Yeah, and it's just so funny that you say that movie like that. That's on Disney Plus.
Stupid.
Because for us, it's
Why
on
is it on
HBO Max.
streaming?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, is it? Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so when you're talking about it's on Disney, like the menu.
Yeah. I mean, some of my honourable mentions, like I said, I had Avatar in my honourable mentions. I had Turning Red.
Mhm.
Nope. Nope's in my
Yeah.
honourables, actually. X, I really liked X, and
Yeah,
obviously I haven't seen
that made
Pearl
my
yet,
top 10 horror
unfortunately.
films of the year.
So I would imagine when I do finally get to see Pearl in March, I think.
Yes.
March, which
You
is
should watch
horrendous.
Did you watch The Black Phone?
No, I still didn't see the
Yeah, you
Black
should watch The
Phone,
Black
actually. I was
Phone. It's
really
good.
bad, actually. With some
Yes.
of my misses are really noticeable. And like this past couple of days as well, I watched the Banshees of Inisherin, however you
Oh, I need to
pronounce
watch
that,
that. I need to watch that one.
which I really did enjoy, actually. Kind of one of those movies that, yeah, I don't think I'm probably never going to watch it again, but
But
it's
yeah.
quite bleak and at
Yeah.
times, but it's also really quite funny at times. It's a movie that I didn't really want to end because I was perfectly happy watching the people go about their lives on this island
Yeah.
and interacting with each other. And Colin Farrell is great in it. And I think it's a great movie, actually, that I can see why it's being touted as a heavy awards contender,
Yeah.
because it's very kind of prescient on loneliness
Okay.
and like very and kind of untold depression,
Okay.
like unspoken depression. It's
Okay.
just like there's clearly something wrong. It's like nobody ever says anything to anybody in that
Yeah.
movie. That's the kind of point of it. And Barry Keoghan, who we all love, is also
Yeah.
great in that as well. So that's made it on there. And actually, Top Gun Maverick has made it onto my honourable mentions as well as
Okay.
Wakanda Forever.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
leading
These are
into my list.
favourites as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, leading into my list, actually, my number 5 is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Okay.
Yes. This movie, while, obviously I think I did love the first Black Panther more, this movie just had such an uphill battle and so much it had to do, and it still found a way to make it work in such a beautiful way, be a great tribute to Chadwick. Amazing performances from Angela Bassett, Letitia Wright having to step up. Like, I loved kind of the aspect of, typically when you get this big hero reveal moment, of her in the suit, that is a triumphant moment for our character, but it's not a positive really moment. She's putting on this suit and doing this big reveal out of vengeance. And I thought that was kind of a really kind of cool change in terms of a hero reveal. Mbaku was great. Uh, we got some really solid character moments. The fighting was wonderful. We had a great kind of villain, which, a very kind of relatable villain in Namor. So, I liked that whole kind of conflict as well, and even kind of changing the background of this character to be something more interesting and more uh, just kind of uh, representative of a different type of person.
Yeah.
Uh, so this film did a lot of amazing things that I think maybe, after the loss of Chadwick, were impossible to even tackle. And the fact that they did in such a beautiful way, in such a cool way, and bringing some really fun new things to this these characters and this franchise of films, I think, was really great. So I absolutely loved it, and loved how they kind of found a way to help this story kind of continue on as well. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I, I can't fault
definitely
you for putting
really
it
enjoyed
in
it.
there. I can't fault you for putting it in there. It's the best Marvel movie in a good few years, easily.
Yeah,
And it's a wonderful, wonderful movie. I echo all the things you said. What I always like about what I always like when I watch certain types of movies like that is I found myself Googling like flights to Central America because I now want to learn about ancient civilizations in Central America. Thanks, Namor.
yeah,
So I like it when movies kind of make me feel like that.
yeah,
And Wakanda Forever definitely made me feel like that. Um with the very rich cultural history that
yeah,
Namor presented to everybody. And no, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful movie, a very emotional movie in great heartwarming moments and certainly heartbreaking moments.
yeah.
Um, you kind of go from very heartbreaking at the beginning of the movie to very, very wholesome by the end.
Yes, yes.
And
And my viewing experience, I did actually do an opening day double feature. Like, I took the day off work and, like, did a double feature where they showed Black Panther and then this one right after. So it was really kind of a fresh thing, and getting to see Chadwick and then having this loss
yeah,
of him, and just going right into that, I think made for a really beautiful watching experience. So it was a great theater experience as well. So yeah, I
oh,
really enjoyed that
absolutely.
movie.
It's I can't fault it. I can't fault it at all. Certainly, as far as MCU is concerned, which don't historically make the most phenomenal movies, do they? They're always fun. They're always
Yeah, yeah,
enjoyable. But in terms of
yes.
genuine first-rate quality of movie,
But this one was able
Wakanda
to
Forever
balance
is
a
that.
lot. They were able to kind of have some comedy in there, but definitely played into the emotion of that loss, providing some really great action, some really great new characters, that felt fleshed out, and some really solid character moments and conflicts with our characters that
Yeah,
we've kind of grown with and loved. So, and a really kind of smart, beautiful way to continue on Chadwick's
yeah,
legacy and the story of Black Panther. So.
yeah. Well, um, my number five is actually also a superhero movie.
Ooh,
But one that has one tone really and just sticks to it wholeheartedly.
okay.
It's the Batman.
Oh,
Is
okay.
actually what I've got as my number five.
Okay. I
Um,
I don't think I gave the Batman a fair chance because I saw it in theaters when I was, like, already just not really. I think I was just really tired, and I saw it with a bunch of
it's
friends, and
it's
I
a
found myself
miserable movie.
I just found myself not being able to kind of focus on the actual plot of, like, what Batman was doing and how the crime that he was solving, and I just couldn't find myself really focusing on it. So
I
I
I
I
think
couldn't get into the story. I loved the visuals, I loved the depiction of the characters, but I found myself just not really maybe understanding or letting myself really. It's not a difficult plot, but for whatever reason, I was just found myself not focusing on it. I don't know, like, I was really distracted feeling when I was watching it in the theater. So I gave it a second watch recently. I actually put it on because it's on HBO Max, and I watched it like the other night, like last weekend. And yeah, I was like, why was I so distracted in this first watch? This is really great.
I don't know. I don't know because I really I think it's a very, very watchable movie for being
Yes.
such a bleak, rainy, horrible, grey
But
misery of a
it's a
movie.
perfect depiction of Gotham. It is such a perfect dark. That is what that city is, and they
I
embodied
have
it
I have
amazingly perfectly.
sat I have sat on the Batman for long enough now for it to be in my mind the best live action Gotham we've ever got. and for my money, the best singular, all-round Batman movie that we have got.
And it's like a
Certainly
time in
live action.
and it's a time in his life where we haven't really seen on screen. We have
Not
seen young.
aside from Batman Begins.
Yes, but
And
even then,
what
yes. But even then it was like, he it was him starting it, but he still felt like older. And at that point he did understand the importance of the duality, the importance of playing this Bruce Wayne character. This Batman is very young and doesn't care about that at all. Alfred has to convince him the importance of putting on this facade to
yeah.
kind of, and he doesn't care anything about, Wayne Enterprises or putting on this playboy persona. But that's a very important thing that he has to do in order to kind of, distract people from what he's really doing and who he really feels he is. And this Batman doesn't care about any of that. So that's what makes him, I think, feel fresher and younger and more naive to me, which I really enjoyed.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, for me, it's not even that. It's not even that I love most about that movie. It is just it epitomizes everything that I admire about the world of Batman. And Batman's been my favorite comic book character since I learned what comic book characters were. And I think he will always stay as that.
Yeah.
There is something very new and very different about Pattinson's Bruce Wayne, is because he's so single-minded in
Yes.
just, I don't care, I'm just gonna beat people up because I'm angry at the world. But the
Yeah.
entire movie is angry at the world. The entire movie is nasty and horrible and showing just depravity from even our seemingly good people, showing corruption from even our seemingly good people.
Yes.
Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, I think he's
Yes.
wonderful. I think
The teamwork. This is the most kind of teamwork feeling that duo has felt. I think Nolan
100%.
Nolan did a lot of that and really kind of took the opportunity to focus on Gordon. But still feel like this did them working together as a team. I felt that more in the Batman.
100%. And the fact you have Selena Kyle in there, you have Catwoman in there, who I always love the romance.
Yes.
It's my favorite romance. I always love it, and it works here because obviously it kind of works, but then never ends up working, and they always end up driving the motorbikes in separate
Separate
directions. And
directions.
they
Yes.
always do it, and you know full well it'll come back together, and it'll be that's fine, and then just drive
Yes,
off again.
and the chemistry is just completely electric between the two of them, and the
The
subtleties
thing
in the
is,
looks and the touches,
everything,
and yeah.
everyone, and everything surrounding that movie just absolutely nails it. The visuals of it, but the performances of it entirely. Colin Farrell again here is delightfully bizarre as Cobblepot,
And
and I just think he
unrecognizable
works.
and kind of cartoonish in the best way. Like,
And this is what I mean when I mean it nails the tone perfectly. And people often say, "Oh, we like the Nolan Batman movies. The Nolan Batman movies are dark. They're gritty movies,
yeah,
hard-hitting, realistic movies." It's like, no, this is a dark, gritty movie. I don't think the Nolan Batman movies age very well. I think they're great movies for 2008, 10-ish, you know. I think they're great movies for then. Certainly great comic book movies for then. But in a world now when we are used to very, very accurate comic book adaptations, to have this version of Batman, this
yeah,
version of Gotham be as painfully accurate as it is to Gotham, that Nolan's movies never have Gotham accuracy. It
yeah,
is just a city. It's any big metropolis city.
yes.
It could be Metropolis. You don't care where it is. It's not Gotham. This is Gotham. And you know why this is Gotham? Because it's grimy, it's rainy, it's miserable, it's dark, and everybody's dying and crying around you.
Yes.
Because that's what Gotham is. It's a horrible, horrible place.
But
And
somehow
Batman is
managing
the one small, slightly bright light of hope in the
yes.
entire world of it. And that is depicted to perfection in that Batman movie.
But somehow as well, like such a dank, dark place, and you still get some of the most beautiful visuals in this film. Every shot could
Yes,
be a beautiful photograph that you could hang on your wall. Like, it's crazy how this dank, ugly place can create some of the most beautiful images you've ever seen on film. Like,
which is hilarious because there was part of this filmed in Scotland and Liverpool, famously dank, horrible, ugly places.
yes.
That was just a it was just a joke there. It was just a joke.
But not known for their sunny atmospheres.
There's not a thing I don't love about that. And as far as you know, comic book movies go, I just think it's the single best thing in so long.
Yeah.
And is, I think, like I said, that came out in March, I think. Like last March. And having sat on it now for this long, it is the best Batman movie. It is certainly my favourite singular Batman movie. Just because it's not the most fun. Batman Returns is obviously the most fun to watch.
My favorite.
Obviously.
Yes.
But it's the best made. And it is the most truly Batman movie.
Yeah.
It really is. It epitomizes
I don't know
everything.
why I allowed myself to be so distracted in that theatrical watch. But I absolutely, in watching it again recently and really just letting myself sit and enjoy it and not look at my phone, like, I really enjoyed everything about the Batman. It's great. It's really great.
Yeah. Well, you're number 4, Jeannine.
My number 4 is Scream.
Oh.
Yes.
I was expecting Scream to show up
somewhere. This is my favorite horror franchise. You know, despite the flaws of the films, like, I absolutely I love every single film in this franchise. You know, even if it's maybe not the best, even if it wasn't perfect, like, I absolutely just love this franchise in terms of what it was able to do with the horror genre, with the slasher genre. This was what made me really kind of fall completely in love with the horror genre, seeing this movie at like 13 and this first film, and Wes's work and Kevin Williamson's work, as I talked about earlier on the show. So to kind of have this legacy sequel, and trying to do it without Wes, like, what is that going to look like? But then kind of even just knowing it was in the hands of the guys who did Ready or Not, which was such a fun movie, was such a fun surprise. I felt okay that Kevin Williamson was going to be in a kind of overseeing presence there as well. And, they picked his brain, to get Nev to come back. These people actually wrote her this beautiful letter, she said, telling her how much, she meant to them as horror fans. And the real importance that this cast and crew took to paying respect to Wes and to the previous films just made this movie very special. It didn't do everything perfect. There were definitely things I wish they would have done differently. But in terms of being a legacy sequel to a franchise I absolutely love, there were so many fun things in here. Kind of the fun idea of a modern motive for this killer, that while there were similarities to things we'd seen in previous films in the franchise, I think they were really smart with modernizing kind of the motivations of our killers, and really kind of bringing it into today while still having a foot in the past of what these movies meant and were, and the understanding of what these movies have done for horror. The legacy cast coming back, I think, were so great to see that trio of actors together. Absolutely loved seeing them, and they fit so perfectly into this movie with the new cast. So many likable characters in the new cast as well. Just so much fun. Jenna Ortega kind of I think making her kind of horror trilogy of 2022 really kind of
Yeah.
stand in terms of what she was
The,
able to do, and making
the
her this kind
start
of
of Jenna Ortega's
yeah,
2022
yes,
takeover, really, wasn't it?
exactly. So really just love this movie as a legacy sequel, as a homage to Wes Craven, as an homage to these other films, a great kind of inclusion in this franchise of films so many years after Scream 4. Um, just really loved it as a fan of this franchise, as a huge fan of this franchise. It was really a special
Yeah.
movie for me.
And obviously, the fact that in typical Scream fashion, it just makes fun of legacy sequels
Yes,
throughout the entire movie,
yes,
while being arguably the best horror legacy sequel we've gotten.
yeah.
Like, Halloween 2018's
Was
good, but
great.
then
I
it has
really
the
enjoyed
other
it.
two movies that kind of let it
Just
down.
yeah,
Even though Kills is, I had
ridiculous.
fun with Kills. I did. Ends. I don't get it, guys. Some people love it. I don't get it. I don't get why they had to do that with it. I don't.
Yeah,
It didn't make much sense.
yes. I mean, I commend them for bold strokes and big moves, but I
But
don't know.
it's yeah, I can't fault Scream. I really did like Scream or Scrafivum or whatever
Yeah,
we're gonna end up
yeah.
calling it.
5 cream.
Five Cream, whatever.
Yeah.
My number 4 is actually The Menu,
Oh,
because it
that's higher up on my list. So
higher up. Oh, higher up on
yeah.
you. How higher up is it? Your number 3, because that's what we're on to then now.
Yes, yes. So it is my number three.
Lovely. Okay, my number 4, your number 3, The Menu.
Yes.
What a wonderfully Morgan movie The Menu is.
Yes. Um,
Structurally, I think it's just it's wonderful. I know we had our full review of it on this show, but I love how everything was so precise in terms of the structure of the
and
movie.
sharp. Yeah.
Sharp, that the movie was set out like a 10-course meal or whatever it ended up
Yes.
being.
Yes.
It had your little intercut title card graphic,
So
text
good.
graphic
Yes.
sequences. It is the most beautifully, darkly hilarious movie of the
The
year.
comedy of this film is so well done. All the characters are just despicably terrible, and comedically terrible. You have fun like hating them and disliking them, which, when you kind of find out where this dinner is leading, you really don't feel too sad about it. Um and Ray Fiennes, just this sadness, this stoic
Just nailing it
sadness he
though.
has is so good. Like, he's not, he is an amazing villain. We've seen him be an amazing villain. But the fact that, he's not a straight up villain here, you understand him as somebody who has been a service worker for many years. Like, I can, everything he's saying, the fact that he's like this, marquis chef, this, um but he still sees he's making all this money, as this chef, but he still sees himself as a low class service worker. You know,
Yeah,
the fact that he is humble enough to see himself in that light, and how he relates to Margot, that character. Um, that was definitely very relatable for me as somebody who has worked in that type of industry for a very long time, and not Margot's industry, but the
no,
service
no, not that
specifically.
kind of
No,
service. Let's
but
specify what we're talking about,
I was,
please.
a server and a waitress for many years. So yeah, like the
Not
fact that
giving
he's
other types of service.
yes. So the fact that, I was able to relate to this man with such kind of a sinister end game was very interesting. And the fact that they made him layered and not just kind of a mustache twirling kind of figure. Um, the horror aspects of it, which, I don't know that I consider it like a genre of horror. Um, but
Oh,
those aspects
certainly,
kind of
it's
mixed with
yeah.
the comedic, and just the the nature of really not knowing where it was going to go and how things escalate, and then it goes back to, something understandable, but then you're still trying to process what just happened before. And um I just had no idea where it was going to go, and I absolutely loved the tenseness of watching it. That just made a really great watch, because it sometimes it's really easy to read where something's going to go, or things are really predictable. This movie was not, and I absolutely loved
No,
that.
absolutely not. Um, I'm not someone who tends to focus on
Yes,
story
we
too
talked
much,
about
but
that. Yeah.
the fact that you haven't got a clue where it's going to go at all adds to it. But it is the scenario of the movie that I just gravitate to the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah.
You go to some weird island that's deeply exclusive, deeply cultish.
Yeah.
Chef lives in this house that nobody's ever allowed to go in, and then he just comes out and he's this sort of godlike figure to all these sous
Yeah.
chefs. And like you said, though, Ray Fiennes just absolutely nails this of being just a deeply unfulfilled person
Yes. Who has
who
lost
is
his
putting on,
passion. Yeah.
yeah, he's just constantly putting on a really pretentious facade that he
Yeah.
doesn't really want to put on, but he has forced himself to put it on because of the position he's got himself in. Obviously, Anya Taylor-Joy, I love everything that Anya Taylor-Joy does because I just
Yeah.
find her entirely captivating as an actor.
Yeah.
And Nicholas Holt's great as well. I mean, Nicholas Hoult
Oh
playing
my gosh.
really evil,
Yes, he's
um,
awful.
as somebody that
And
you, at the
some
beginning
of
of
the
the
best
movie,
comedic
you
moments.
100% some of the best comedic moments in the movie. But at the beginning, you're kind of with Nicholas Hoult. You think he's a little bit weird, but he's really into this restaurant.
Yeah.
But like, okay, I can get behind you, Nicholas Hoult. You seem fun. Oh God, no, you're not fun at all. You're the worst.
Yeah, you're
You're
kind of
like
the
the
worst.
worst out of everybody in that room, and there's some pretty
Yeah.
nasty people in that room.
Yeah.
Leguizamo's great.
Oh yeah.
Um, those three Andrew
Like,
Tate kind of guys, they're great.
yeah, those business guys, yeah.
But
The critic, the food critic.
I just imagine he is like their hero, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
kind of glad people can stop talking about how great he is now that he's been arrested for shady stuff.
Yes.
Yay! People are
Yay.
weird who like
Yeah.
him.
Yes.
People are really, really weird
Who
who
respect
like that
somebody like that.
guy.
Yes. Yeah.
He's deeply creepy.
Yes, very.
Get out of my face. I mean, the fact I even know who he is just sad, really, but it speaks to how, I don't know what it speaks to. It speaks to how nastiness infiltrates every
What's
situation
popular
when
in the world.
stupid people
Yeah.
around you decide to bring it up all the time. But no, it's an intelligent kind of play on pretentiousness as well.
Yes,
And
and if you
just it,
listen to I watched it again recently, and, like, if you listen to kind of all the conversations happening, even when you're not focusing on characters, like, I think they were told to kind of just improv conversations when the focus was on other people, and if you really listen it, like,
okay.
you get more of kind of just how awful these people actually are, and how, great they think they are. So it's really smart in that way as well.
Oh, I should mention Hong Chow as well, who is just
Yes.
wonderful in the
Yes.
movie. Who I've seen things go about on Twitter recently of kind of what's the best line delivery in a movie of 2022, and a lot of people are saying this is a tortilla.
Yeah, these are
Tortillas
tortillas,
delicioso,
delicioso.
which is I can't
No,
fault
she
that.
had some
I can't
amazing
fault
moments,
that.
even too when the guy's trying to, like, break out and throws his chair at the window, and she's just like, "Let me help you back to your table, sir." And she just takes
Oh,
his
mum.
chair. Like,
I
yeah,
think
she's great.
we all should aspire to be as patient as Hong Chow puts
Yes.
herself to
Well,
be in that movie.
when you watch The Whale, she's great in that as well too. So,
Okay, good.
she's very heartbreaking in that film. But
Yes.
yes, just so many
Ma-
great performances. Did not know where this film was going to go, and it was such a fun surprise. Um,
That was my 4 and your 3.
yes. So your
So
3 would be
my 3 is actually a movie I did watch in the past couple of days, and a movie I didn't actually think would make it onto here, but it has done because of the fact I was just so into it from one particular moment, and I'm going to create a personality around this film. This is RRR.
Oh, okay. I recently
Which
watched this too.
is just the most insane movie. It's wonderful. It's
It
so
is.
good.
It's great.
I to start, I had no idea what this movie was about,
Me
by the
neither.
way,
Me
going
neither.
into it. I'd just seen it on people's best of the year lists. It's like I'm noticing this thing's on quite a lot of people's list. Why have I not heard of this movie? What? Oh, okay, it's an Indian movie. Okay, where can I find it? Is this in cinemas? I think it actually was in cinemas, but then it's also actually on Netflix.
Yeah. No, I
So
remember Frank
unfortunately,
Frank Janish had told like our little group chat to like watch it like when it came out on Netflix. And I just like I meant to and I just didn't. And so then like I don't know, last weekend I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna put this movie on finally.
yeah. Unfortunately, it's not showing on Netflix in its original language. You can watch it in all these different languages.
Yeah.
The closest you can get is Hindi, but that's only because Hindi is another Indian language. It's still
Yeah,
not
mine
in
was
the
dubbed.
actual native
Yeah.
language. I ended up watching just the English version.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I always prefer to watch things in native languages, but really, the speech vocals are not what you watch this movie for.
Yeah, no.
At all. The singing, yes, you can watch it for the singing, and the singing is just still in I forget what the language is now. That's so annoying. The
And the
singing is
dancing as
not in
well.
English. The singing, yes, but anyway, I had no idea what this movie was about,
Yes.
and going into it, so it starts with this kind of okay, this is I mean, this is beautiful to look at. This is ridiculously kind of slow-mo, really hyper-focused kind of let's just manipulate every sense and
Yes.
emotion in your entire body all the time from the very start. But like that first sort of 50 minutes, I was kind of okay. I'm enjoying where this at. I get this guy with the beautiful mustache. Okay, he's in the British,
Yes.
he's Indian, but
I
he's in
fell
the
in love
British
with him.
Army. He's a badass.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, yes.
And then you
I'm
get
like,
the other
He was a
guy.
very gorgeous man.
He's a ridiculously handsome man. Why is he so good looking? This
Yes, and
guy.
then scenes of him doing the punching bag. I was just like,
It's ridiculous, this
yes.
guy.
Yeah.
The other guy, who is the guy from the tribe, who the girl gets kidnapped from. This is set in, I think, the 20s in India, so it's kind of it's British Empire and all, and
Yes.
these British Empire people as well. They're
Yes,
so
I know earlier you were talking about British legacies and British
exactly.
histories. And
This is This is the British legacy. The stupidity and horribleness of the people in this movie.
yes.
They are perfectly caricatured, but I think this is a deeply caricaturist movie.
Yeah.
This is not a movie to be taken entirely seriously.
Seriously, no.
Please just go into this wanting to have as much fun as possible. Now, like I said, for these first 50 minutes, you're kind of getting to know our lovely, is his name Ram, our mustache guy in the British
Yeah.
Army,
Mhm.
and Akhtar, our tribal leader on his kind of tiger beating quest to find the kidnapped girl.
Yeah, yes.
And then they become best
Best
buddies
friends.
in Delhi. And it's the cutest little thing you've
Their
ever
friendship
seen in
is
your
so
entire
cute.
life.
Yes.
They're riding around on the back of a motorbike with each other like it's
On
Roman holiday.
Yes, or
It's
on each other's shoulders, just
incredible.
walking. Like
Walking around on each other's, which comes back later on in just the
in
best
the
way.
best fight sequence.
Akhtar has his little romance with one of the British girls
Yes, who's
who's
at
there.
the property where the little girl has been kidnapped to.
Yes, and but like Ram just kind of goes entirely along with it. It's the most wholesome friendship I've seen
Yes.
in years. It's so unbelievably intensely just pleasant to
Yeah.
watch these two interact with each other. And I do think there is something in it because the guy is so ridiculously handsome
Oh my
that
gosh.
he's just like, wow, this man is just he's gripping me with his eyes.
Yes.
You know, it's so intense. Aside from that, about 50 minutes into this movie, you get this party at this British consulate kind of governor's building.
Yeah.
And the party's all very British, really. Oh no, let's dance the waltz
Soji, yes.
and do all this and
Yeah, sorry,
have a drink of tea. And these two come in and they just go, "Hi, you want to dance properly now?
Yes, and
There,
that
let's
whole
dance properly
dance
now. Let's have
battle.
10 minutes
Whole
of
dance battle
the
breaks out.
most incredible dancing you've ever seen. That's
Yes.
just made me sat on the couch in the house just going, this is great. I
Right?
love this.
That
This
whole
is
dance
so
off
good.
was
I'm
so
in.
good.
I'm entirely in. And from there on, it's got betrayal, it's got deep love, it's got sacrifice, it's got some really
So much,
hard,
yes.
horrible
The
scenes as well of
flashback of
just
Brahms' family and what happened to him in the
yeah,
village and all this stuff. Like, well, yes, there were so
how
many
these
ridiculous
characters
layers. Yeah.
how these characters have become who they are, all the while being shot in this ridiculously grandiose way.
Yeah.
Everything looks beautiful. The action is stunning to watch because
Yes.
it's obviously there's quite a lot of CG in this movie, but I think the CG is really quite good.
Yes.
There's a lot of slow-mo, which I do like. I mean, Zack Snyder not fans probably won't like that because it is quite similar in
Yeah. In
ways
terms of how they kind of,
to
yeah.
the way he shoots action. But the movie has everything. It is a true action epic. It has absolutely everything. Things from before, it's 3 hours long. Things from before in the movie, like the walking on the shoulders, comes back in the very final battle when that's reversed.
Yeah.
And it's all about revolution of, and saving, obviously, this little kidnapped girl, familial legacy,
Yeah.
and family love and deeply
And Rom
friendship.
having this whole undercover mission this whole time that we don't really find out until later.
So he's only in the British Army because we get all this big flashback with him and his dad. He's only in the British Army. He's a really deep undercover agent
Yeah.
because he just wants to be high enough up in the British Army that he gets access to all
Access
the
to
weapons.
guns. Yes. Yeah.
So he can send the weapons to all the villages so they can fight back.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happens at the end of the movie in just the most fire-blastingly glorious way.
Yes.
But the fact there's also one or two little singy musical dance numbers in there as well. And just what is, for my money, the most wholesome friendship
So sweet.
in a
It
movie
was
all
so
year.
cute. Yeah.
I
Rom being
can't
this
help but just love
wingman,
it.
and yes, there were some really great moments.
And
Because I had no idea what this movie was either, and yeah, just jumping into it with all this layers of it, the action and the emotion and the
yeah,
Bollywood aspects, and oh my gosh, it was so fun.
Well, actually, I know it isn't Bollywood because Bollywood is specifically, I think, Hindi language movies.
Okay.
So this is
But just
considered
like in terms of
Tollywood, I think.
okay, okay,
So it's a different industry.
okay, okay.
It's Indian. It is
It's
Indian
yeah,
because there's
but it's
so much
yes,
diversity in India. But and it does what I mentioned before. It's made me want to kind of go to India.
you just want to
And
go
I've been
to
sat
all
there Googling
places.
going, oh, where's flights to India?
So now you want to go to India. You you want to go
I want to go.
see
I want to go to like,
Namor.
yeah, I want to go to like El Salvador and Mexico and
Yes.
Guatemala,
Okay.
but also to like India and Pakistan, and just to see around there,
Yeah.
just from this movie, just from
Apologize
this movie.
for the legacy of your people.
Yes, I'll go there and say, sorry, it wasn't me. It was my great grandmother. Sorry, it wasn't me. I do apologize. It's fine. Okay.
Yes.
I am here to admire you and
Yes.
your delightful culture. Because if it's like this,
Oh my gosh. So yeah.
if it's like this,
I didn't know what I was
give it
getting. Like I knew it
all
was
to me.
yeah, I didn't know if it was a comedy or an action or if it was like a satirical thing. Um I knew there was some dancing in there. So yeah, I was not kind of sure what the whole kind of story was and then just kind of getting into it. So good. So fun. Really enjoyed it. Definitely one
Yeah.
of my honorable mentions.
A truly, truly wonderful movie. I want a good Blu-ray of that
Yeah.
to come out with the actual native language, please, so I can actually watch it in the native language with subtitles, as you should.
Yeah, I was surprised it was just an English dub, the version I ended
Well,
up
no, there was
watching.
all you could get in it. You could get it dubbed in French, you could get it dubbed in Portuguese, you could get it dubbed in Spanish, or you could actually get it dubbed in Hindi,
Okay,
but not in its actual language, which is just bizarre to me. But
weird.
yeah, I don't know. What is your number 2? Or your
Well,
number 3?
no, my number 3 was the
Oh,
menu.
your
So
number 3 was the menu.
so I believe my number 2 is your number 1. So we might have to bounce that
Ah,
to your number 2.
okay. My number 2 is is the most Morgan movie of the year.
Okay.
Obviously, it's The
All right.
Northman,
Okay.
because you want to give me deeply historically accurate, but also witchy, but also Vikingy,
My
and
thingy.
Robert Eggers just being a madman,
Yes.
and The Northman also being what I knew I would be into this movie from when it was first announced, but I didn't entirely expect it to be mystical Hamlet, which is what it
Yeah.
is. It's got its supernatural elements, and I didn't necessarily expect it to have that. I expected it to be quite
Straightforward
straight.
historically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I think the supernatural aspects of it just add to the weirdness. I mean, it's psychedelic at points, this movie. It's,
Yes, but
you
it
get
still feels
Bjork's
grounded in
scene.
a historical reality. That's kind of like what Black Phone was for me. Like I thought it was going to be 70s kind of kidnapping movie, but it actually had this weird supernatural element that worked and played into the reality of the time as well. So, yeah, I definitely think those supernatural things still somehow worked into the historical elements of the actual story.
But again, I think action epics have been kind of great this year. If I'm going off my list, I think the Batman you would consider an action epic
Yeah.
at 3 hours. You would certainly consider RRR an action epic,
Yes.
although it's got more in there. But The Northman certainly is an action epic. I just think Alexander Skarsgård gives the most visceral performance I've seen all year. He howls around that movie.
Yeah.
He just grunts and charges around that movie. He really just wolfs himself up. And he just looks like the most hulking figure you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I I like his quiet scenes in the movie because they make you realize he's actually just a human being with a revenge plan
Yeah.
and then he just turns it on immediately into just this rage machine of just fire and fury. And
Yes.
it's like a Targaryen, is it? Fire and blood.
Yeah. Yes, and he could have played it completely 100% intense all the way because of this whole vengeance plot, but, I think he's great in those quiet moments that you're not really expecting, and you're not even expecting as many kind of quieter moments that you get in this film, um, so I appreciated that. Anya Taylor-Joy again in this one as well, she was great. Nicole Kidman, and
Yeah.
kind of the twist that comes there. Ooh, oh
Oh
goodness.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the twist that comes with Nicole Kidman. I think Nicole Kidman's really good in the
yeah,
movie. And Anya again, I've said about Anya before. I find her very, very captivating, and she and Robert Eggers obviously have history.
yes,
So, and very favourably Morgan history as well for Anya Taylor-Joy and Robert Eggers. So,
yeah,
I really just like everything about the Northman. I like that time in history. I like kind of learning about that time in history. So I like the very historically accurate kind of costuming look and the sets look and the nature of it all, the buildings, the relationships
yeah,
towards one another, but adding in all the mysticism, adding in all the weirdness,
yes.
adding in
Some really
the
interesting visuals as
adding in
well.
Willem
Oh
Dafoe being just
yeah.
completely this unhinged prophet figure,
Yeah.
and even even like towards the beginning, before Ethan Hawke dies, don't Ethan Hawke and the young Amleth have that
Yes, they have this kind of
ridiculous
very
scene with Willem
psychedelic
Dafoe?
ceremony. Yeah.
And it's just it fascinates me.
So
It
trippy.
fascinates me from a historical point, but also
Yes.
from just a weirdness point. It's
Yeah.
weirdly wonderful. I had to put the Northman on here, and it just because it's a. I think we should have more movies like it. I think more movies should take chances like it. I know, obviously, I don't mean in terms of just being Viking movies.
Yeah.
I just think more movies that are entirely. I mean, it's not original. It's not an original story, but it's an originally depicted story.
Yes.
Like, it's Hamlet. Hamlet's not an original story.
No.
Hamlet's been told time and time again in various movies and
But I
various
mean,
media,
aside from
but
the
not like that.
supernatural element, it felt like a story that you would have read about somebody who really existed, you know?
Yeah, it feels like a Norse legend.
Yeah.
And I think it is a Norse legend. Or it's based on a Norse legend or something like that. But yeah, I can't say anything more wonderful about the Northman.
Okay.
I was such a fan of it.
All right.
Well,
That's what a bit of I forgot. I guess I just forgot about the Northmen. Otherwise, I would have been like, "Oh yeah, that's definitely up your alley."
of course
Um,
it. I mean, of course it is.
yes.
And I'm not
Uh,
like those people that take it into be like, oh, it's some sort of white power thing. It's just about Vikings,
yes.
you know. It's
Yeah.
just
It's a very interesting time, a very interesting people, historically. So, um, yes. So my number one. I think I
yes.
don't know if you can guess what my number one is.
Well, because I'm just obsessed with my number one so much, and I think I'm just being selfish, and I know that that's your number two.
Yes.
I just don't think I'm focused on what your number one
Oh
might be,
wow.
but I think I
Okay.
can have a good guess. Does it,
Um
by any chance, include? Oh God, what's the music? Just do it.
my number one of 2022 is Top Gun Maverick.
I temporarily forgot the music to Top Gun. I'm sorry. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yes, of course
um
it is.
yes. I mean, I wasn't somebody who was like this uber fan of the original film. I enjoyed it as an 80s film, enjoyed it from Tom Cruise's catalog of films. Um, but so I wasn't like, jumping into this like, yeah, Top Gun, super fan. But I saw this. I knew, it had obviously these flight elements. You read the stories about the training that the cast would go through with Tom Cruise and in being in these planes and really flying them for real and all of this. So I'm like, I got to do this in 4DX. They're probably going to do some really interesting things in terms of how to feel, like you're in the plane. And this was probably the best 4DX experience I've had.
I
I've
would
seen a lot of
imagine
films.
so.
I've seen a lot of films in 4DX, and this was amazing. Just the chair was literally moving with how these planes were moving, the spray on the water, like everything. The wind, like, everything. So it made such a fun experience. And the story, really the connection to the original film and just building on that. And really kind of giving you those key kind of very pop culture moments from that first film, but making them better. Having the Iceman Maverick kind of dynamic between Rooster and Hangman, and even having Val Kilmer come back in a very special way. You know, he was such a big part of the original film, and finding a way for him to come back and have his character work, and the moment that they had together was just such a big kind of nostalgia rush, to see them on screen together, and the way that they were able to kind of bring his voice back for him too, I think was a very special thing. um just the stakes of it felt very kind of palpable, and the tension, the contentious relationship between Rooster and Maverick, and building upon what happened in the first film. The stakes that Maverick has in terms of trying to get everybody back home, and that being the most important part of the mission for him, because of what happened in the first film, tying kind of the stakes of this film to the original film in such a smart way. Just such a very simple but interesting story, and just a great way to expand on a film from so long ago, like a character you didn't really think you would need to go back to, but you're happy that you're there. um you know Tom Cruise, yes, very strange and weird and complicated, and maybe not the best person in life. But as somebody who loves this industry, you see that in every film he does, and this is no exception. You can tell he loves this character. You can tell he loves everyone who works on it. You can tell he put his heart and soul into this. And he, on a film set, he's a consummate professional who cares about the final product, who cares how it looks, who cares, how it's supposed to be viewed. Like, all of that is seen in this movie. His labor of love goes into what he does, and I love that about Tom Cruise, the actor, the professional, the kind of last movie star, and all of those aspects of him in this industry are prevalent in pretty much all the films he does, but particularly in this one. Just revisiting a character from so long ago and making it feel so fun and exciting and tense. Just, I had so much fun with this movie. I literally saw it 5 times in theaters, in every format
Oof.
you can see it in. I saw it in the 4DX, I saw it in 2D, I saw it in 3D, I saw it in Screen X. Um, just absolutely had so much. I could watch it so many times. I mean, and several scenes. One of the scenes that they did, I think improve on, turning, beach volleyball into beach football was a very, very fun scene as well.
Yeah.
So yes,
Um,
I absolutely loved Top Gun Maverick. Had so much fun with it, and just did not expect to love this movie as much as I did.
I think it's an endlessly watchable movie. Really, I
Yeah.
think it's
I think you
one
were even
of.
surprised at how
I
much
was.
because
I
I
was.
think when we came in to do the review, you were like, that movie did not have the right to be as good as it was.
And
Like,
that is exactly what I said, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
and it just didn't. It just didn't, because Top Gun is nowhere near as good as Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun's
no,
Top Gun's
it's
good.
good.
It's nowhere near as good as Top Gun Maverick. It's an unbelievably looking movie. and it's really, for me, I think it just the surprise aspect of it.
Yes.
Not even the surprise, just me resigning myself to just having to admit that, yeah, that was
That was
just
pretty good.
unbelievably good,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And yes, it was. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. I think it's one of the strongest true Hollywood blockbusters in
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
Years. Even when you compare it to something like Avatar: Way of Water, which is in similar sort of category, long awaited, kind of Hollywood blockbuster that had a hell of a lot of time and dedication put into it, that's not one of these factory made
Yeah.
movies like the MCU's are. Top Gun Maverick still blows Way of the Water out.
Yeah.
In terms of watchability, it
Yeah.
just really does. I think Way of Water's probably a little bit of a better looking movie. I think Way of Water's easier to sit in as a movie. But I think just for pure adrenaline of
Yeah.
going to watching a movie, Top Gun Maverick excels at that. It's
It was such a good
phenomenal at that.
watch. Like, I could
It
literally
got
just
your
put it
heart
on.
pounding.
Yes.
It did exactly what RRR did for me, and just made me like super emotional and super heart pounding.
Yes.
And it did that for Top Gun.
Yeah.
So, and this is, that's impressive to me, and I
Yeah.
could understand fully why you would put it as your favorite movie of the year.
Yes.
Jeannine, my number one
Yes.
is
It's
not
my
just my
number
number
two.
one. Is your number two? It's not just my number one of the year. It's the best new release movie. It's my favorite new release movie that I've seen in many years. Many, many years. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
You can't fault the movie for the amount of things it does,
Yes.
all while being centered around what is simply a mother-daughter story and a mother-daughter relationship that's broke down.
Yeah.
The fact it's just able to blend that much into this
To
one
such a simple
little
story,
movie.
and even a family story or a husband and wife story as well, because it's this woman's kind of conflict with her daughter and her husband, and them as a family,
Well,
and
yeah.
such a simple story, and then you turn it into this kind of crazy thing, all of these things happening around it, and still somehow making that make sense, making a cohesive story, making it very understandable and digestible,
Well,
in such a
let,
beautiful way.
let's go
Like,
through what it is. It's a family drama, it's a comedy, it's an action movie, it's a kung fu movie, it's a sci-fi movie, it's a multiverse movie, and it's so much more. At times it plays as a thriller. There's
yeah,
times it looks, I mean, that really beautifully emotional scene of Ki Kwan in Another Life. I would have loved to just do laundry and
in
taxis with you.
taxes with you.
That is
And
the most neo-noir looking thing you've ever
yes, and
seen in
him
your
just
entire
leaning against the
life.
wall, smoking a cigarette, looking so damn cool. Like, and just him having this, getting to have this moment, this return, to be seen again, and he had a lot of heartbreak with this industry in terms of being typecast, and not a lot of roles for Asian people, and being put in this kind of box and not being able to break out of it, and getting this role where the focus is this Asian family, and him getting to shine and show that he never lost his great acting ability, and this kind of big kind of comeback for him, and how special that is for him, how special it is for us to get to see him and hear his story. And so for this movie being this kind of big kind of comeback vehicle for him, I think makes it special on top of just everything else that happens in it.
It
um
does. It really does. I think he's just wonderful in it as
Stephanie
well. And I
Sue,
think Stephanie Shu is
so good. Yeah.
unbelievable in it for
Yes.
being so young and like this up and comer. She's outstanding in it. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's the best thing Michelle Yeoh's ever performed in as well.
Yes.
In terms of just giving a performance. It's the weirdest Jamie Lee Curtis has ever been.
Yeah.
But
And the fact that
Stephanie
she
Shu is
completely
the
loved
shining
embracing
light.
that. Yeah. Mhm.
Stephanie Shu is the shining light of that movie. She's so hilariously evil,
Yes.
but really she just wants affection. She just wants to understand. She wants her mother to understand her, and for her to understand her mother. This is all this movie is. It
And
is just centered around the desire for a family to
see each
learn
other.
to
Yeah.
bond with each other, to actually take the time
To
in this
acknowledge each other
hectic
and
world,
yeah. Mhm.
in this crazy, insane situation. It takes the most crazy, insane situation you've ever seen in your entire goddamn life, and the bagel of destiny, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
The swirling black bagel that is the end of the world, and
Everything.
if
Yeah, the
whatever it is.
everything bagel. Yeah.
It takes all of that. It takes flicking through every sort of timeline and every sort of multiverse possible for them to actually see each other. And
Yeah.
they have to see each other in every one of those universes, in every one of
Multiverses.
those
Yeah. Mhm.
timelines, of which there is obviously an infinite amount. I've seen some breakdowns of the kind of frames of Everything Everywhere All at Once that shows you kind of fun little nuggets of where Michelle Yeoh actually goes in those really quick flashes
Yeah.
sequences, and there's some really fun Easter eggs of like movie locations that she actually goes to in those particular frames. But I remember coming away from that movie not knowing how to describe it, and I still don't know how to describe it. It's an indescribable movie because it's got everything in there.
Yes, I mean, the title
It's,
speaks to what the movie is as a
it
whole,
does.
and it's just such an ambitious idea and something that could have totally just made no sense at all. Um, but somehow, the themes are strong enough to make the kind of high concept nature of things really feel grounded and make sense.
It's
So
so,
I think
so
it's so
emotional.
smart. It's so smart to ground such a simple story and, that maybe you wouldn't really pay that much attention to. And you're adding this kind of fantastical element around it that it makes you really want to understand this very simple story. And that the
Yeah.
craziness happening around this very simple story doesn't take away from that simple story.
No,
Um,
not at all. Not at all.
and
And
it just enhances it. Yeah.
it is that simplicity where it is at its most emotional, when
Yeah.
it's at its most human. Like it's action packed, it's pulsating, it's really heart pounding as an action movie. And it's crazy. I mean, some of the kung fu in the movie is just wonderful. I mean, it's what you kind
Yes.
of expect from Michelle Yeoh, really,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's kind of what she built a career on
Yeah.
when she first started. But it's not that that's the most impressive thing. It's to have all that craziness in there while, like you said, still nailing the quiet, simple story that it actually is trying to tell.
Yeah.
And it is the best movie of the year, as far as I'm concerned. It is my favourite movie of the year. It's my favourite new release movie in many
Yeah.
years, purely because I don't often come away from movies not knowing how to describe them, but knowing that I remember coming home and telling everybody, you need to go and see that. You just
Yes.
need to go and see that. What's it about?
I
I
can
couldn't tell
explain.
you
I
what it
can.
was about.
You have to see it, and not to say that these are bad films because plenty of them are in my honorable mentions on my actual list. Legacy sequels, franchises, in a sea of movies like that that are tied to something else.
Yeah,
To get an original story, an original film with
deeply
original new
original.
characters, and that you don't already have this preconceived love for from something from the past, to endear yourself to whole new characters in a whole completely original story. Those kind of things are few and far between. So when you get an original story, with amazing actors who, make you fall in love with them in something completely brand new, like that is a feat nowadays, I think, and it's
Yeah.
something that definitely deserves all the accolades and love, because to craft an original story that people really uh you know gravitate towards and really enjoy, and it is not a common thing, really. So to have this original story just be so interesting and so smart and so emotional was an amazing thing to see last year, and I absolutely loved this movie.
Yes. It's beautiful. If you still haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, just do go and see it. I mean,
Yes.
there is a few that I haven't seen that are on people's, that After Sun movie that looks really quite good. That kind of, is it that father daughter coming not, maybe not coming of age, but family drama that's heavily Oscar baity kind of awards notable movie. I kind of do want to see that. That looks pretty good, and people are saying it's up there with the best of the year.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's other things as well. I think that one's probably the one that I probably could have seen at this point as well. I do think it's out properly, but I just haven't yet.
Yeah.
That would arguably have made a list like this, but it would have been tough because this was a favourites list. This was almost a watchability list,
Yeah.
and these are also some of the 5 for mine, and really, I think yours are as well.
Yes, and I
Some of the
mean,
most watchable movies.
there were things that, like, I loved that were honorable mentions, because, even though I loved them, there are movies that I maybe necessarily don't need to see again. So everything in my top 10 is something that I would repeatedly watch, that I would definitely go back to and watch again. And particularly these 5 films or movies that I have no
Yeah,
problem putting on and watching several times. And I think that for me as a film lover, that is like my kind of one of the key things on my spectrum of what makes a film good to me, is if I want to revisit it, because there are films I love that I enjoy that I don't really feel like I need to revisit all the time.
oh,
Like I
100%.
loved Moonlight, but that's not a movie you kind of want
Yeah,
to repeatedly
you don't want to
watch,
watch that too much.
Yeah.
You
So,
just don't.
um,
Yeah, it's too heavy. It's too
yes,
heavy.
yes. Like The Whale, I loved The Whale, but not something I think I need to, I can just throw on and like enjoy, and watch all the time. So yeah, I think my list of top 5 were definitely movies that I loved, that did things that I really enjoyed, but also films that have that rewatchability factor, because that is definitely something on my kind of key points to that make a movie very special for me. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Let's play a little game then, guessing some of our most anticipated movies of 2023. Janine, I think we have 3 each. We've written little clues
yes,
regarding them, and we're just going to give each other the clues for a bit of fun and games at the end of today's show
yes,
to try and guess what some of or 3 of each other's most anticipated movies of this year 2023.
yes.
I apologise for a little bit of a cough I have today. Janine, would you like to start giving a clue, or would you like me to give the first clue?
I like you to go first,
You like me to go
so I
first,
can
just so
get
you
my
can answer for the
failures out of
first
the
effort.
way.
Okay. Let's hope I don't fudge this one up in the end like I did the last famous horror franchise I brought back. At least the first was really good in that one. So hopefully this will be the same.
Ooh, horror franchise, eh? Uh, read it again.
Okay. Let's hope I don't fudge this one up in the end, like I did the last famous horror franchise I brought back. At least the first was really good in that one, so hopefully this will be the same.
Oh, what movie? So it's obviously something that David Gordon Green is
It
doing.
is something that David Gordon
Yes,
Green's
and I
doing,
can't
yes.
remember. I literally just saw like somebody talking about this new thing that he was doing, and I can't remember what it is. I kn- what horror movie is he jumping into now that he's directing? Oh my gosh, I don't remember. Ah!
No,
I don't remember. Ugh.
no, this is David Gordon Green's upcoming The Exorcist,
Yes, yes.
with Ellen Burstyn reprising her role.
Yes. Is Linda Blair coming back as well? I think
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea if Linda Blair's coming back, but I do know
Okay.
Ellen Burstyn is.
Okay. Yes, I knew that he was doing another horror thing, and but I couldn't remember that it was The Exorcist.
So
Mine
yes,
are all
let's hope the Exorcist, at least this first one, is good like Halloween 2018 was, and he doesn't fudge up the others
yes,
like he
mine
did
are all
with
very
Halloween.
easy. You will
Okay,
figure all of these out, but
I probably won't, knowing
yeah,
your clues.
no. You made me feel very insecure about how difficult my clues were, so I think I just made them very easy. This trailer depicted an odyssey in innovation, and it appears that the lead characters may be leaving their fuchsia and fantastic world for something more real.
Now, this is one of mine as well. This is one of mine as well. Do you want me to read the same? Do you want me to read
Okay,
my
you
clue?
might as well.
Read that
Yes,
clue.
that is perfect.
My clue was just wrapped in plastic. It's fantastic.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, that was just my clue.
Okay, well, let's say it on the count of three. One, two, three.
It's Barbie.
Barbie.
Yes, of course it is.
Yes.
Why would I not be looking immensely forward to the Barbie movie
Yes.
after that
Well,
trailer?
that's why I put fantastic in my verbiage as well.
Yes, yes. I was
And
just going to sing, but my voice isn't up to singing properly at this point,
ah,
unfortunately.
okay.
Um,
So
yes,
uh
that was one of mine. Give me another one.
okay. New is the name of the game as a familiar face from a small town reappears in a new place with new people and new rules.
Ooh, it's all very new. What's this new? New thing. Something about new. Someone new. Say it again.
New is the name of the game as a familiar face from a small town reappears in a new place with new people and new rules.
A new thing reappear. A new thing from a no, not new thing. A familiar thing from a small town reappears. New place, new rules. Oh, it's Scream 6.
Yes, a
Of
familiar
course it is.
face.
Yes, it's Scream 6
New York.
because it's in New York. That's why. Yes,
Yes, I didn't want
very
to say.
very good.
I
Very good.
almost said like small town to the big city. I'm like, oh no, that's way too
Very
obvious.
very good. Yes, very
Well,
good.
I'm glad you had to think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's three wildly different, outstandingly powerful women, directed by the woman responsible for the return of everyone's favourite hook-handed legend.
What?
It's three wildly different, outstandingly powerful women, directed by the woman responsible for the return of everyone's favourite hook-handed legend.
What? Somebody directed a Peter Pan movie?
Not a Peter Pan movie. See, this is where I wanted to actually trip you up because you would start thinking about Captain Hook.
Three women who are completely different coming together. What movie is this? Read it again.
It's 3 wildly different, outstandingly powerful women, directed by the woman responsible for the return of everyone's favourite hook-handed legend. Oh, I'm surprised.
Oh.
I'm not
Oh.
surprised. I'm not surprised.
Oh.
I've got it now.
Oh. Oh. Oh, I'm looking right at him. Hello, Mr. Candyman.
Yes.
The Marvels.
It is the Marvels,
That was good.
yes.
That was good.
It is the Marvels. I liked that. I wanted to bring up Candyman.
Yes, I'm looking right. I had a poster of him on my wall.
Well, give me the last one.
This film will drop the mic as the ending of a seemingly unfranchisable franchise as a woman takes charge and lives her magical fantasy.
I'm shaking my head as I knew it would be in there. Obviously, it was going to be in there because this is Magic Mike's Last Dance.
It is. I hate you so much. And I almost didn't like I was gonna
Morgan wins.
I was trying to think of one for Creed 3. I was trying to think of one for The Little Mermaid. But then I was like, no, I'm gonna give when you said that, I was like, yeah.
I knew it was obvious. It's you.
Yes.
It's you. I know you.
Know me. I tried to deny
Thank
that
you.
you knew me, but
You
you
did
know
try.
me.
You did
Yes,
try.
you win. You win.
Yay! Well,
You win the first
Jeannine,
game of the new year. Congratulations.
I'm quite happy with that. Well, there we go. For the first episode of Monday Madness of 2023. It has been a big fun one, which we like big fun episodes of this show, don't we, Jeannine? Now,
Yes.
please, if you do not mind, save my voice and my fear of coughing and finishes off with the plugs, please.
Okay. Let's see if I can do this. This, of course, isn't the only show you can find on the It's a Wonderful Podcast feed or the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel. On the feed, we have our other shows every Wednesday Morgan Hasn't Seen, where I force you to watch things you haven't seen. And we are approaching our 200th episode of the show. So all month long, we have been talking about our favorite series that we've covered on the show. So please check that out coming this Wednesday. We will be talking our third favorite series of movies we've covered on Morgan Hasn't Seen, all leading up to our big 200th episode. So find that every Wednesday on the It's a Wonderful Podcast feed. And of course, our main show, It's a Wonderful Podcast, every Friday, where we give love to classic films. We discover new old things all the time. We will be talking this week, The Libeled Lady. So please check that out every Friday on the It's a Wonderful Podcast feed. Of course, on this channel, we have some fun things to check out aside from Monday Madness. We have movie reviews from me, Morgan. He shares his physical media Blu-ray collections every time he gets a new batch of films, which is really fun. We do retro trailer reactions, watch-alongs, so all kinds of fun stuff on the channel. Please like, share, and subscribe over here at the It's a Wonderful Podcast YouTube channel and the It's a Wonderful Podcast feed, all places podcasts can be found.
Lovely stuff.
Did I do it?
Lovely. We have also, if you are watching this on YouTube, had everything scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the entire episode. Patreon links, donation links, if you would like to support us in that way, are in the description as well. If you are feeling very generous, of course, we can't do what we do without the generous support of our wonderful It's a Wonderful Podcast patrons, and we love them dearly. Jeannine, did you do the social medias?
The social medias, yes. So you can find me on you can find the show on Twitter at It's a Wonderful One. You can find me on Twitter at Jeannine Devine _. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Jeannine Devine. If you want to get any merch for any of our shows, you can see it scrolling by in the description link below, or just search It's a Wonderful Podcast on teespring.com. There's some really fun designs over there, some fun Stranger Things designs, logos for our show, so please check that out. If you want to purchase any of my art in print form, you can find that at my Big Cartel shop, g9design.bigcartel.com. You can find Morgan on Twitter.
at the Purple Dawn with a 3 instead of the E in there. Because, Jeannine,
3 is the magic number.
on Instagram at the Purple Dawn. I did think you were going to give me like what I give to
Oh,
you, and like some
well,
sort of
you never say
unheard of
my.
creative.
Yeah.
No, like I just throw you kind of all
yes,
your
no. All your
ridiculously
yes.
nonsense stuff is where.
You're good
But
at
no, you didn't do that.
that.
You didn't do that. But
Sorry.
it's okay.
Sorry, you
It's
put me on the
okay.
spot.
I did put you on the spot, and I apologise for doing that. But yes, you can find us all there, and I do think there is now only one thing left to do until next time on Monday Madness. Jeannine, go ahead.
3. It's 3. 1.
Bye.